Great to be amongst this audience here this morning. So I was just reading of a couple of days back, right? Like Amazon is now delivering to your can deliver to your car trunk. I could actually use my cell phone now to actually open up my hotel room. I mean, we're talking about enterprises that are adapting to the needs of their customers in a rapid way, in a real time. And so that's what really I'm going to talk about today. In the past, Sean's spoken about connecting users to application simply, securely, and reliably. He's talked about delivering networks in a more faster and better way to our customers. He's talked about essentially how the CIO spectrum is expanding from productivity to brand awareness and risk mitigation as well. And today we'll see a little bit about how we enable enterprises more in real time. As I said before, right? We can order online. We can receive our goods in a matter of hours. We can call a taxi. It's there in a matter of minutes, right? It pops up in a matter of minutes. We can order cloud services. It's there, available. It's delivered to you in seconds. But then today also we see that a fish thermometer can essentially expose your entire database externally to hackers. We see that companies that used to lead the market for many generations are now struggling to find themselves to keep themselves alive. We're seeing so why is there this kind of a disparity between different companies where they're trying to do similar things, but one is doing really well and the others are not able to catch up with what needs to happen to keep themselves going, right? So it really doesn't, it's not only about catching the right wave at the right time, but it's also recognizing the fact that they need to be more agile, nimble, and adaptive to their customer needs and requirements in the market, right? And this change it needs to happen across process, people, and technology as well. And we'll go into a little bit about what Verizon's doing about it as well, and what our perspective of where the market's going. All right. So, a recent study by OVM actually stated that 96% of the carriers, the number one challenge they're seeing as going into next year is around real-time customer experience, right? Enabling real-time customer experience. But if you think about it, right, for the last 20 years, the telecom services has been ordered and delivered in pretty much the same way. 20 years, think about it for a second. 20 years back, you had Google hired its first employee. Windows 98 was launched, right? And then we had Amazon Amazon.com was doing some maintenance upgrade, and they had a 10-hour outage. I mean, really, I can't even imagine if Amazon goes down for 10 hours today, right? AOL announced that it's going to buy Netscape. Wait a second, who is Netscape, right? I mean, what these companies leveraged is the speed of software, right? To be able to disrupt themselves and become more agile and adaptive as they move forward in their journey. And finally, right, it's a network is in that situation where now we're able to leverage the power of software, software-enabled networks, software-defined networks. It's finally cool to be a network engineer again. And what are operators doing about this, right? This whole cycle that we're going through. We're seeing essentially three approaches today, right? One is a product approach where we see folks enabling very specific products, not integrated, more in a resale fashion for their customers. It's good, right? It enables them to gain some experience up front to understand what value a single product may bring to their customers. It gets them started on the journey. We're also But the challenge with this is there's not much integration within their ecosystem. There is limited automation associated when they're delivering these products to their customers. And at the end of the day, you choose the wrong product, right? That's a risk the operators are taking. The next approach is now essentially moving to the next level in terms of platform, bringing in multiple products, pre-establishing the type of services, service chains, and solutions that they think their customers are going to consume, and trying to build some limited automation, some limited integration around it. And again, it has its own risk, right? With regards to, you're stuck with a certain deployment, with a certain platform that you have essentially invested in. And ultimately, where we would really like to see the operators move to is the entire integrated ecosystem, right? In the other two methodologies, right, we saw it's the operators who are deciding what the customers need to have, right? Where we need to go is we need the customers to essentially define what their business requirements are. How do they want to consume the services? What should be their customer experience? And then the ecosystem should essentially adapt around it. So this really involves a lot of complex and a flexible orchestration mechanism to bring that agility, right? The ability for customers to be able to choose which applications and which products they want to be able to consume and in which manner. And that's the value of the integrated ecosystem, is bring that and reduces the risk significantly from an operator standpoint and from a customer standpoint. But it is sophisticated, it is complex to go deploy. Yeah, all right. So we've been educating customers for a while on the value of virtualized network services. Gone are the days now where we have to talk to customers or educate them about the virtualized network services through demos and PowerPoint presentations, right? Customers are fully bought into the concept. They want to select their apps. They want it to be deployed rapidly, and they want to be able to make changes on demand. So essentially what Verizon has done is we have executed and we've delivered services to customers leveraging an integrated ecosystem, right, which really involves our zero-touch provisioning engine, our orchestration engine, our closed-loop service assurance, right, and across a multiple suite of partner relationships that we have, delivering it across secure multiple networks, and delivering it in a borderless fashion, right, whether it's from the premise to the cloud. Now, bringing as we are going through this journey and delivering services is in this integrated fashion for our customers, what we are noticing is there are really three primary use cases that's kind of stepping forward amongst the crowd. Which really, the first one, right, is a very basic point needs of customers. Customers come back and say, hey, I have this problem statement. I have this specific need, right? And I need your assistance to be able to deliver around that problem statement, right, in a much more rapid way. So as an example, recently we had a customer who wanted to make available certain network functions at multiple locations in a very rapid way, because they had a very specific business requirement that kind of dictated that. We essentially came in and we deployed the network services within our hosted network cloud environment to enable all these locations that could connect into it in a very rapid way, and we leveraged our zero-touch provisioning engine to deploy the service for our customers, right? So we literally cut down the deployment time from multiple weeks to literally a matter of hours for this customer. The second set of use cases, right? We come across, again, these are early adapters in the network transformation journey. These are customers essentially who have a more long-term strategic view of what their full network transformation journey needs to be. and they essentially want to get involved early on in the technology analysis with us. They want to understand, they want to essentially get into proof of concepts with us in terms of, hey, if I had to deploy services on our UCP or white box platform, how is that going to work? If I have to deploy the services within cloud, what's the interaction between a premise to cloud deployment? How do what does zero-touch provisioning really mean? Is it really zero-touch? What is that experience going to look like? How can I order those services? How can I leverage the orchestration engine? And they want to simulate different kinds of failures to really understand if closed-loop assurance, in which scenarios it works, in which scenarios requires manual intervention. So what are the process changes that need to happen? What level of training and education the staff needs to have? To start building on that, right? So there is customers who really, they want to dive deeper, a lot deeper into this. So ultimately, right, they want to visualize the first-hand real-world benefits of SDN and NFV, and then basically define their journey of what their network transformation needs to look like, right? So we've been helping a lot of customers in that transformation journey as well, as you can imagine, right? We're living in a brownfield environment, and we have to care for being able to get the customers through that journey as well. Now, and this is really our favorite third group of customers that we come across is customers who have a lot more complex in terms of their deployment needs. They're much more complex global networks involved. They want to get involved in our process of co-creation with them. When I talk about co-creation, right, what does that mean? So they essentially want to leverage the Verizon DevOps engine, the smart agile product transformation processes that we have, and get involved in that process to be able to constantly co-innovate with us, right? These are the customers who are really pushing us forward in the product development process. They are the ones who want to interact machine to machine through APIs. They're the ones who want their orchestration engine to talk to our orchestration engines. They want to ultimately enable their application owners, their application DevOps teams, to be able to program the networks to their application needs and requirements without really having to understand networking, right? And that's ultimately what their ultimate goal and vision is to work with us, right? So again, we're really, like I said, right, this is our favorite group of customers because it really enables us to constantly challenge us in terms of how we can constantly keep moving forward and innovating with them. But it's not just customer co-creation, right? We also, of course, want to continue to grow and significantly enhance our co-creation process with our technology partners, many of who are here in the audience today, right? And so as part of that, right, one of the things that's really near and dear to my heart is, how can we enable artificial intelligence and machine learning across the ecosystem, right? Not just in a point solution way, right? So what we want our partners to work with us on is to be able to provide us the control points, the AI primitives, right? That we can essentially tap into and build that layer around it to create truly an end-to-end mechanism where we can learn and constantly program to it, right? We want to continue working. We want to make sure that our partners and our technology partners always have an API-first strategy, right? APIs should not be an afterthought in terms of building the platform, and then they think about how do we expose APIs to our customers. We want customers to help us measure business performance of our customers, and so that we can then translate that back to actually more business outcome SLAs for our customers as well. Zero-touch provisioning definitely brings down the deployment timelines, but it's not good enough, right? We want to take it down to literally seconds, and we have to leverage containerization across all these different network applications, and we want our again, technology partners to join hands with us to continue keep growing in that space as well, and co-create, right? The co-creation doesn't stop there, right? What use is co-creation at the end of the day if co-creation on the overlay is of less value if my underlay takes multiple weeks to deploy connectivity services to my customers, right? We depend a lot on third-party network providers in the industry for global reach, and we need to ensure that we are able to also deliver services on demand on our partner, our service provider partner ecosystem as well. So as an example, right, recently Verizon worked with Colt, and we delivered in a production environment. We did a proof of concept where essentially elastic e-access programmability was created, where Colt and Verizon in both directions could essentially program our networks in a more automated way for our customers. So this was a proof of concept. We want to grow on this concept, but not just at the access layer, but also essentially other services on each other's network should be programmable, and we can create that automation between the two providers. And this is just an example. We, of course, ultimately the customers really win and benefit when service providers come together and create those standards around how we can work together and make our programmability exposed and available to our other service providers, and likewise as well. All right. A final thought here, right? Digital transformation. I think I skipped a slide over here. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, that's fine. All right, so I found this quote on one of our internal sites, right, and I found it really interesting. George Westerman, who's a principal research scientist at MIT, and he's responsible for digital innovation and leadership and thought leadership in that space. And he stated, right, when digital transformation is done right, it's like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, but when done wrong, all you have is a really fast caterpillar, right? So, I mean, no truer words said over there. What we really have to essentially do is deliver, we have to understand from an end-to-end really what our customer needs and requirements are. We have to understand what the obstacles our customers have to be able to really adapt to their needs, right? We have to co-create, working with our customers, with our technology partners, with other service providers and operators in the industry. And if again, if we are going to be successful in enabling real-time enterprise customers, we need to overcome what's really holding these organizations back. One of the infographic here says, right, 82% of customers who say that they are lagging behind in network performance are actually also saying that they are lagging behind in digital innovation as well on their side. So network is absolutely fundamental and key, and how we enable an adaptive ecosystem, integrated ecosystem for our customers is key to their success as well. Finally, we have further a few speakers from Verizon who are going to talk about go a little deeper into some of the customer experience programs and initiatives we've deployed for our customers. They're going to talk about the challenges in innovation we have, how we are working through it, working with our system of partners. Again, I've talked about AI, machine learning being very fundamental to really getting to the concept of enabling more adaptive networks. Right, so please, I encourage you to go attend those sessions with if time permits for you, and you'll definitely you'll get to learn quite a bit from there as well. That's all I had. I just wanted to keep it quick and short and talk about really enabling real-time customer enterprise customers. I'm happy to take any quick questions if anyone has. Yes.
Hi, Viraj.
Sure.
We can maybe just take one question. If there's a microphone, say who you are.
Blessed with a very loud voice.
Just wait for the microphone, because we're also casting.
Okay.
Thank you. I know you're
Viraj, my name is Sandeep. I represent IBM. I lead the consulting and alliances for global network services in IBM. And my question is specifically from a systems integrator's perspective. What I've been finding, so we work with Verizon, AT&T, and many others, specifically around VNS platform, right? So I see, when the platform, when I see that are available from Verizon and others, they're modular in the sense that you have, a routing VNF and SD-WAN VNF and so on and so forth. But when you look at from a systems integrator's perspective or service provider's perspective, they're not modular from the perspective of how do you separate out licensing from provisioning, from management, from operations. Now, that to me is a challenge because that limits the scale on how you can bring it to it, right? So that's one question. Second, if you have time, if you could give some example of MI and AL that you are using that goes beyond pattern matching and really does bit of deep learning in network performance or service assurance, that will be very useful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take your first question second. I'll follow up with you offline on that, because that'll be a long answer over there. But yeah, no, I completely understand. I know that there is actually a program that I know our teams are working on, enabling you bring your own license mechanism, bring your own software, bring your own hardware. So this is back to what I'd mentioned earlier about building that integrated ecosystem where essentially our customers have the ability to bring their applications, right? Bring their, potentially even their hardware platforms or their virtualization platforms. And we as a provider want to enable that end-to-end integration for them, right? Because we bring that expertise, we bring the network connectivity also there. So this is part of that innovation journey that I'm talking about, co-creation, right? And how we can enable that, because the challenge is, again, we're a provider. We have our legacy systems, OSS, BSS stack that also requires transformation. It's not just about software-defined networking and virtualization and enabling that. It's at the systems level that a lot of the changes also have to happen. And that's a journey we are moving forward. And this is where we want to work with partners like you to essentially understand what those specific needs are, create the right architectures around it, and essentially enable more flexible ecosystems with our customers. And again, when I say customers, it's not just our enterprise customers, it's including our partners and channel partners like IBM and whoever we may have, and building to those needs and requirements. Okay?
Great.
All right. Thank you.